WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Tuesday edition of Game Night. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. Talking some Eagles, talking some NFL, talking some Phillies a little bit as well. We'll get to it all this hour here on 97.3. Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press. He usually joins us on Mondays, but this week he's joining us on Tuesday because he was at the Bucks game last night for Monday Night Football. So we'll get Rob's thoughts on all the latest NFL news. Baker Mayfield, Jimmy G, all those guys coming up here in just a bit. Also, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. And, you know, it almost feels like the Phillies signed Trey Turner at the exact right time. Because this kind of felt like a week where a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people are wanting to give the Eagles credit for being potentially, if not the best team in the NFC, one of the best teams in the NFL. It's like the Eagles won the game on Sunday and Eagle fans cheered and everybody else got really quiet. All the doubters and all the haters ran away and hide. So for the Phillies and Trey Turner, you have a guy coming in here who kind of lightens up the conversation again. Because one of the things with baseball in the offseason is when these guys sign these contracts, it infuses new hope and energy into these guys. And part of the reason why free agency always fascinates me is because the reasoning behind it. The news came out, if you guys didn't hear, that the San Diego Padres were offering Trey Turner more money, but Trey Turner said, I want to go to Philadelphia. Now, there's a lot of reasons why that could be. But I think what Scott Lauber said about Trey Turner coming to the Phillies earlier today on the Sports Bash, I think it is a larger conversation that we need to have moving forward, because the days of Nolan Ryan going to the Astros or Reggie White going to the Packers or Albert Haynesworth signing a monster contract with Washington, I feel like those days are basically a bygone era, specifically because this is what Phillies beat writer Scott Lauber said today on the Sports Bath with Mike Gill about the factors that led Trey Turner to sign with the Phillies. Open your ears to this, because I think this is going to tell you a lot about, we are in a different world today. We cannot hold the same ideas we used to have about sports and free agency with players anymore.
He's very close with Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper is very close with him. That could have been one of the factors. And quite frankly, you know, I've heard from a lot of agents and some Phillies people as well that there were a number of players who watched what happened in October and the atmosphere in Philadelphia during the postseason and how electric it was in Citizens Bank Park and wanted to experience that. And that may have weighed into it too for Trey Turner, who's won a World Series in Washington and I'm sure would love to win more. And, you know, to come back to a baseball crazy place like Philadelphia was in October, I think is pretty attractive to a lot of players. So those could all be factors.
So absorb that for a minute, okay? There were two specific things that Scott said. Number one was he's friends with Bryce Harper. Kevin Long was his hitting coach with the Nationals. He played with Kyle Schwarber. So, number one, it's the familiarity factor. It's the, I want to play with people I like. I know these guys. I want to play with these guys. There's a lot of reporting out there that Trey Turner wanted to play for a team whose spring training was in Florida, that Trey Turner's wife is from New Jersey. So this is starting to sound more and more like hey, the guy literally came here for some non-baseball reasons. Not that non-baseball reasons are a problem, but it changes how we had been when you were growing up. When I was growing up, free agency was a little different. The idea is that, guys either went for the money or to go to the best team. Now guys are going to play with their friends. They're going because they want to have a specific spring training area, things like that. The other part of what Scott Lauber said that was very impactful was he said the agents have told him that these players saw what happened in Philadelphia, that the Philadelphia fans showing out and giving the energy and the response to this team during that World Series run was something that people want to be a part of. It's not that people love or hate Philadelphia. It's not that people love or hate any city or team. It's that people want to go where the party is at. And not a literal party. I mean, they want to be a part of the environment. The concept of FOMO, fear of missing out. Athletes are just like everybody else. They're human beings. They're people like you and me. They just happen to make a lot of money doing something that takes an extreme level of skill and ability. Skill and ability that people like you and me may not have, or maybe we had at one point in time, and then injuries destroyed us when we were like 17 years old, right? The idea is that these guys are making money because of they're doing something at such a high level that it entertains people. And to me, when you hear a guy saying, look, players saw how Philly fans were, they want to be a part of that. They want to join that company. They want to join that energy in the clubhouse, in the stadium, in the arena. That tells you how impactful the things that are not just on the field are for people. I don't think Trey Turner looked at Dodger Stadium and said, these guys stink. I think Trey Turner said, I'm friends with Bryce Harper, number one. My wife is from the East Coast, number two. I want to be on the East Coast, number three. And man, those Philly fans look like a lot of fun. And number five, my former hitting coach, who I won a batting title with, is now in Philadelphia. I think those are all factors. But none of those factors were, I'm going to be the highest paid shortstop in baseball. None of those factors were, I get to hit free agency again in 4 years and max out another contract. None of those factors were, I'm going to Philadelphia because I think that they are going to win the World Series next year, guaranteed. Because there's no guarantees in sports like that. Especially in a sport like baseball, where the Phillies were the wild card team and ran to the World Series. I think it's very impactful that we look at Trey Turner's relationship with Bryce Harper, A.J. Brown's relationship with Jalen Hurts. You look at these people and their relationships, and you realize that these are things that are important to them. And we have to accept the reality that in today's world, the athletes are not what they used to be. LeBron James literally took less money to go to Miami to play with his friends. LeBron James wanted to go away to college. That's what happened with the Miami Heat, right? Athletes are not treating this stuff all one and the same. There's no monolith here. And I think it's an amazing compliment to Philadelphia, the culture that's been built in that locker room by Dave Dombrowski and fostered by Rob Thompson. It's a testament to the Philly fans showing up in the postseason that Trey Turner and other player agents are looking at Philadelphia and saying, I want to be there. I want to be a part of that. And I think you're seeing the same thing with the Eagles. Part of the Eagles' success is the relationships that have been developed. And those relationships elevating their play on the field. Listen, positivity feeds, and so does negativity. And if you have a positive environment and a fun, happy locker room, it's very much likely that you're going to be successful on game day. Text board is open. 609-403-0973 is the text board. You can also DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Don't forget, we got Rob Maaddi from Associated Press joining us coming up in about 8 minutes from now. There is a little Eagles news today, and I think it's significant for this one aspect, and that is it's not about the names explicitly and specifically that were moved, because the Eagles, they put Robert Quinn on injured reserve. So he's going to miss at least 4 games. And Andre Sachare has basically been waived from the active roster. And it's fair to assume that he'll probably end up on the practice squad after he passes through waivers. And they released 3 guys from the practice squad. It sounds also they signed Janarius Robinson to the active roster. It sounds a lot like this team is preparing for more guys to come off of the injured list. There is a chance that we could be seeing Avonte Maddox come back soon. And boy, do they need him. Because Josiah Scott has been chewed up and spit out multiple times in the last couple weeks. On one hand, you want Maddox to get all the rest that he needs. You also need him on the field as soon as possible. So a lot of these moves may be precursors to get Avonte Maddox back. And that is a huge addition for this team. That this team realizes that they need their guys back and that the games that are coming up are very important. And when you look at the conference, you realize that there is not a huge variable in terms of records between the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Vikings. Now, there are differences in position groups. There are differences in coaching staffs. There are differences in quarterbacks. But there is not a large difference between them in wins and losses. And because of that reason, the next 3 weeks of the Eagles season are arguably the most important of the season. I think it is huge, massive, that when you look at the Eagles games coming up, that if they are healthy and they are at full strength, they are one of the best teams in all of baseball. In all of football. And I think that for the Eagles, if you go out there and take care of business, it makes everything easier. I think the Eagles could definitely benefit, especially Jason Kelsey's ankle, from getting an extra week off before the start of a playoff run. Coming up next, talk more NFL with Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles continue the 2022 season this Sunday in New York against the Giants.
Jones with Barkley to his right, calling for the football. He fumbles it. He is it. The football is fumbled. The Eagles are after it.
Pre-game coverage starts at noon with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick calling all the action starting at 1 p.m. This is where the Philadelphia Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagles station.
When it comes to wings in the Delaware Valley, nobody beats the Piccalilli Inn. Whether it's South Jersey's best wings, tails, or ears, let them know you're sauce champion. All 10 delectable flavors are going head-to-head to battle for number one. When it's game day, you just gotta head to the Pick. Visit them on Facebook or at piccalilli.com for their Pick game specials. And be sure to pre-order to guarantee your spot in Sunday's lineup. Nobody beats the Piccalilli Inn. Visit the one, the only, the original Piccalilli Inn, Route 206 in Chemong.
Dell's Days of Deals start now with fresh limited quantity deals each day on tech to power every passion. Save on select XPS laptops and Alienware PCs powered by 12th gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred Account. Just call 877-ASK-DELL for Days of Deals savings. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe for max strength nighttime relief. Just one dose of Vicks NyQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Get some rest and feel better with Vicks NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, sore throat, stuffy nose, fever, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed.
Welcome to What If, the show where I, Jake from State Farm, answer your insurance what ifs. We've got a call from Millie. What's up?
Hi, Jake. What if, hypothetically, a moose gets mad at my car and rams into my windshield? Hypothetically.
Oh, just file a claim on the app. At State Farm, we're there for your what ifs.
Great, but what if the moose eats my phone? Hypothetically.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
Life doesn't stop when the economy is uncertain. The market might not care you have a wedding to plan or a kid to put through school. And inflation doesn't know you've got a family to feed. But Bank of America does, and is here to help. With digital tools to help you save and local experts in New Jersey, you can keep life moving forward the way you need it to. Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at BofA.com/New Jersey. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Come one, shop all at the JCPenney Friends and Family Sale. Through Wednesday, use your 30% off coupon inside the JCP app and shine on with up to 60% off diamond solitaires and studs. Plus, get carried away with up to 70% off luggage from Samsonite, American Tourister, Skyway, and more. Anyone shops, everyone saves. We got your holiday. JCPenney. Offers valid on select items through 12/7. Offers reflect after coupon savings. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7, with supplies and solutions for every industry, and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Kindle Auto Plaza has the area's largest selection of pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models. With over 80 pre-owned vehicles on their huge 100-acre lot. Everything from sporty coupes to SUVs to trucks. Kindle offers the area's best buying experience, easy and hassle-free, with 60 years of customer satisfaction and community service. Discover why Kindle customers are so loyal. Shop for your next pre-owned vehicle at Kindle Auto Plaza, exit 10 of the Parkway on Stone Harbor Boulevard, or at KindleAutoplaza.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Game Night being brought to you by Jenkins & Sons. One call does it all. No need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, the plumbing guy, because Jenkins technicians are trained to do it all. Be like 97.3 ESPN, because we need to make our studio comfortable. That's who we called, and you should too. Give them a call at 609-641-6262. And visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. NFL.com. Well, it's certainly been an interesting NFL news day, to say the least, to get to all of that, plus reviewing the state of the league after Week 13. Rob Maaddi joined us on a Tuesday because he was watching Tom Brady win another football game last night on Monday Night Football. Rob, welcome back. How was it to watch Brady pull another rabbit out of the hat?
Yeah, record-setting fourth quarter, 44th career comeback. So it was pretty incredible. And the cool thing about that, Josh, is after flying home from Houston, where I got to see probably one of the worst games on his schedule, the Browns and Texans and Deshaun Watson's return. Yesterday was my birthday. I flew home early, and the girls have been wanting to see Tom Brady play. And I was like, there's no opportunity for me on Sundays. Let me take them to this game, this Monday night game. So my wife and my daughters, all three of them, their first ever NFL game, and they stayed till the end, and they got to see that comeback. So it was pretty awesome, pretty epic.
Well, happy birthday as
Thank
well.
you, man.
So that's a very cool. Their first game, and they got to saw Tom Brady pull off some fourth quarter magic. That doesn't happen every day. You know what I mean?
And you know what? The fans, man, like the Bucs fans were really nice to him. I posted a video, this guy like saying it's all about the Twins. It's because of them they came back. So it was a really neat experience. Like I mean, I've been to 1,000 football games, and just my kids have never been to a game. So to get to experience that, it was pretty cool. It was something they'll certainly never forget. And it was really cool. So looking forward to seeing Tom later this week and letting them know how he made their day.
Speaking of Tom, what are the Bucs right now? We only got a few more weeks left in the season, Rob, and you and I have talked about the fact that the anticipation was the Bucs were going to win the division, right? You had said that multiple times, but now on December 6th, are the Bucs a threat? Like, we know they'll make the postseason, but are they a threat in the postseason?
Yeah, it's a great question, Josh. And it's hard to imagine them being a threat in the playoffs. Like, yeah, they're going to win the division. They're going to get home field advantage. And this week against the 49ers, who, because now they've lost Jimmy Garoppolo, is going to go a long way toward determining whether or not they have a hope in the playoffs. Because if they can beat the Niners, and then they're still going to need San Fran to lose a game, but then they'd have that home. They'd have the advantage for the 3 seed. What you want to do is avoid the 4 seed, because if you get the 4 seed, you're playing Dallas in week 1. I know Dallas has had some playoff woes, but man, they look so good right now, and I think you're looking at getting knocked out by Dallas. If you get a 3 seed and now you're facing the Commanders or the Giants or the Seahawks, it's a different story. And then the road becomes a little bit different. If you're home against one of them as the 3, you potentially beat the Giants or the Commanders or the Seahawks. Now it's, can you beat the Minnesota Vikings on the road? You got Tom Brady. You always have a chance. But this team offensively, there's no creativity. Byron Leftwich's offense is so predictable. I've said it before. You never see any motion. You never see guys wide open. Like, it's the complete opposite of when you watch, for example, the Eagles. Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen drawing up plays that you got A.J. Brown open by 20 yards. Now, I know on that particular one play on Sunday, he ran a guy over and all that happened. But all you're seeing, guys, there's absolutely no creativity with the Bucs offense. And the defense, they came up with stops against New Orleans, against good teams. They're not getting stops. I think right now they're just an average football team winning a weak division and only winning some of their games because of the comeback ability and the heroics of the greatest quarterback of all time. And they're going to need that in the playoffs to have any hope of. They'll be a home underdog probably by at least a touchdown against Dallas. And whether it's the Giants, Commanders, or Seahawks, if they ended up somehow in that, they're still probably would be a home underdog, which is kind of crazy to think of Tom Brady as a home underdog.
Now, heading down the stretch, I know they're not the same teams. The Eagles and Cowboys both beat the Vikings, but the Vikings, Eagles, and Cowboys are basically very close together, and we're going to see basically that 1-2 seed play out right in front of our eyes for the next few weeks. The Eagles got 3 road games in a row, Rob. how confident are you that they can win all three? They'll win 2 out of 3 because I know the Giants are injured. Justin Fields, if he's healthy, he's super dangerous. And Dallas on Christmas Eve, a lot of people feel like that's almost a guaranteed loss for the Eagles right now, just because people are looking at Dallas the way they're playing.
Yeah, Dallas is going to be tough, but the Eagles, to their good fortune, have a 2-game advantage. So I think they can win 2 out of 3, and the 2 out of 3 could be the Giants and the Bears, most definitely. I do think that the Cowboys would most likely be a loss, but that wouldn't surprise me. I think the order of the NFC teams are Eagles are clear-cut number 1, Dallas is number 2, Vikings are number 3, and maybe even not number 3. Let's see how they fare against the Lions, because I know they're 10-2 at this point, 11-2, whatever their record is. I'm losing track of weeks and everything else, but they're on the road, but they're a dog against the Lions. The Detroit Lions, who started out, what were they, 1-5, 1-6, are home favorites against the Minnesota Vikings this weekend. That says a lot. I know it's a 2.5-point line. I know the Lions are playing well. Man, odds makers are not confident in the Minnesota Vikings for a 2-loss team, both losses being blowout losses, but they've won a lot of close games. They've won a lot of one-score games. I think 9-0 in that, and people don't have that confidence in them. So now you think that, okay, it's going to be Eagles Dallas or Dallas Eagles. I still think the Eagles, it's going to be hard for them to lose this division and lose that number 1 seed, because where are the losses going to come? Suppose you're going to split with the Giants because the last game of the season isn't going to matter. The next 3 are the most important ones. And at this point, if you go 2-1, I think that locks it up. Dallas would have to win out, and then I don't know what that tiebreaker is going to look like. I got to look at that. But I think this is set up really nicely for the Eagles to be the number 1 seed. And, man, each week they look better and better. Every week I say they're looking great. They're winning games. They're doing this. They find different ways. You run a hunt for 350 yards and win a game, then pass for 350 yards and win a game. They really look like a team that has very few flaws.
Just to address that question, we brought this up earlier on Mike Gill's show on 97.3. The tiebreakers within the division after the head-to-head, it's best win-loss record in games played within the division, then it's best win-loss in common opponents, then it is best win-loss in games played within the conference, and then it gets crazy after that. So
if the Eagles, they may end up needing to play that last game against the Giants, and
that's correct.
The game previous against the Saints, because if they lose to the Cowboys and the Cowboys don't lose to anyone else, depending on how the tiebreakers are going to shake out, they may end up having to play the final 2 games to be able to secure that home field advantage, which, you know what, may not be the worst thing in the world, because if you get the bye and the last game means nothing, now you're looking at a 3-week layoff.
Right.
Or a 2-week layoff, 3 weeks in between, technically 21 days in between games or whatever, because you're resting your guys. Then you got a bye week, and we've seen teams be rusty coming off that bye. So it might not be the worst thing if they have to play that game.
I think it's so important for them to get the bye for one specific reason, Rob. On Sunday, we saw 7+ penalties on the offensive line. And I got to think, I don't care how much Kelty is denying it on his podcast. I think Jason's ankle is more banged up than he's letting on. And I think that he could definitely use another extra week off before a playoff run.
Yeah, that's a good point. And depending on some of these other guys, what's Jordan Davis look like when he comes back, and how much can he use? It's also not terrible if you don't need the game and you can rest most of your guys, and then to keep some of the skill players sharp, play them a half, play them a quarter, try and keep them. I go back to the 2017 season. Do you remember when Nick Foles and the Eagles got shut out by Dallas last game of the year? It might have been
last game of the year. Yep.
Was it 6-0? It's something like that.
Yeah.
And Nick Foles on the first drive, they only played a drive, and Foles on the first drive, it might have been Torrey Smith, threw a 3rd down pass that if he catches it, it's a touchdown. He drops it. They end up punting. So Foles he may have also thrown a pick. I'm not sure. I just remember, man, Sudfeld comes in. That was the Sudfeld game that Jeff Lurie referred to. And I just remember that Monday, Doug Peterson being asked if he's thinking about a quarterback change because Nate Sudfeld, although he put up 0 points, I believe he was 19 for 22. He's like, no, I'm not replacing Nick Foles, and we know what Nick Foles went on to do. So it's playing a half, playing a quarter, playing whatever, it might be worth it.
Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press joining us here on a Tuesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City, at Rob Maaddi. Give him a follow there on Twitter. Rob, I want to ask you about the MVP debate for a moment because Jalen Hurts is having a phenomenal season, but so is Patrick Mahomes. How do you differentiate those two guys at this point? Because, listen, there are some people who are saying Mahomes is doing more with less. Other people are saying Jalen Hurts is maximizing the opportunity. How do you tier that conversation?
Yeah, it's a really tough one, Josh. And I was thinking about it this week after seeing how Sunday played out and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs fall short to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And some people are trying to work Burrow into that conversation, deservedly so. He's been outstanding, right? Tua Tagovailoa lost his first game in which he finished. He had been 9-0 in games that he started and finished. He's a top fiver, in my opinion. Taking out some of the guys who were doing extraordinary things like Micah Parsons as a defensive player, because we know only 2 defensive players have ever won it, focus solely on the quarterbacks. The Hurts-Mahomes debate, I think, is going to come down to like the final couple weeks. Because like you said, Patrick Mahomes may be doing more with less. Jalen may get some, I wouldn't say votes taken away or points taken away, however you want to view it, but credit may go more to that offensive line is so dominant. They've been healthy. They've stayed strong. He's got A.J. Brown. He's got a great run game. He's got all of that. That may eventually cost him a few votes that either go to whether it's Mahomes, Tua, Joe Burrow, or whoever else, because people look at the totality of this Eagles team. And while I could understand that logic, I still got to look at a guy and what he's done and being able to lead his team to an 11-1 record right now. And if they can continue and get that number 1 seed, because good thing is you don't have to vote till obviously after the seed. They finished 14-3, 15-2, 16-1, get that number 1 seed. I don't know how you don't give it to Jalen Hurts if he continues doing what he's been doing. The way he's run, the way he's been able to throw, the way he's a playmaker, the discipline that he shows, the decision-making that he's displayed. To me, it's one MVP performance after another, and someone else is going to have to steal it from him. Like, in my mind, I don't have a vote. I only assign the voters. I've said this before, Josh. He's got my vote right now. I would vote Jalen Hurts.
Let me ask you a couple other quarterbacks news around the league. Jimmy G goes down on Sunday. Brock Purdy comes in. Now the news comes out today that Jimmy G doesn't need surgery, and if everything goes well, obviously that's very subjective, he could come back in 7 to 8 weeks, which would line him up with the NFC Championship game. Rob, give me your assessment of the 49ers situation right now.
Yeah, it's a very tough situation for the Niners because the way this team's playing defensively, just an incredible defense. The run game's so solid, playmakers all around them. You and I talked about Jimmy G in the offseason when we thought, I have said that the best thing the Niners could do is keep him, and it ended up they needed him, and they needed him for exactly what he was able to do. Brock Purdy came in against the Miami Dolphins, did a great job. And I don't know if that speaks to Kyle Shanahan's preparation. Brock Purdy certainly deserves a ton of credit for being ready to go. But Jimmy G's been there. He's won. They would need him. If they can somehow, they're not going to get that number 1 seed. So they're going to have to play 2 playoff games before the best, possibility scenario where he would be able to come back in the NFC Championship game. We saw that, remember, with the Eagles, and A.J. Feely had to play down the stretch 4 games after Donovan McNabb broke his fibula in a game against Arizona. He came back for a playoffs. He was ready to go. A little bit rusty, won that first playoff game. Then they lost to the Buccaneers. I think that was the Rondé Barber game. So I don't know that they can count on Jimmy G coming back and being healthy at any point. The defense is going to carry them. I just don't think they got enough firepower offensively without Jimmy, although he was really not blowing things up as a quarterback. It's that run game. They still got a shot because of the defense, because of the running ability of this team. And as long as Purdy's got to not lose games for him, no turnovers. If he can avoid turnovers, they can stay in every game because of that defense.
I mean, listen, if Brock Purdy can be, Sean King with the Bucs or Jeff Hostetler with the Giants, it's not beyond reason that they could. I mean, we've seen backup quarterbacks. I mean, I know Nick Foles is the most famous one. Yeah. Trent Dilfer. Well, Dilfer came in for, what was it? Tony Banks, I believe it was.
Yeah,
that season.
We've seen backup Trent, like you said, Jeff Hostetler, Doug Williams going way back in the 86 season or whatever that was. We've seen backup quarterbacks. If the backup quarterback comes in, takes care of the football, manages, I hate that term, but manages the game and lets the defense do its job, the other players around him do theirs. That Kyle Shanahan's offense is completely the opposite of Tampa Bay, and you'll see them face each other this week. It's creative, right? You get Deebo Samuel involved in the game however you want. Christian McCaffrey can do so many things, and Brandon Ayuk, and they just have so many different weapons on that offense, and they find ways to get the ball to them. And I think with that and with that defense, they're not dead. They're not done.
No, definitely not. I always tell people, Rob, talent and teams win championships, not individuals. Football's a team sport. Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. I'm not going to say that Dan Marino stinks because he never won a championship. I'm not going to put Trent Dilfer in the Hall of Fame because he's got a ring. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like people forget that the 49ers, you could argue the 49ers have one of the 3 best rosters in the entire NFL. So if Brock Purdy doesn't, implode basically, the 49ers, I think, I don't see a scenario where the 49ers can't get to the NFC Championship game. I feel like they're a bad matchup for the Cowboys in the playoffs. I feel like they're a bad matchup for the Vikings. And I think the only team in the postseason that I think could handle them theoretically would either be the Bucs defense. Notice the Bucs defense, not the offense, the Bucs defense, or the Philadelphia Eagles. I feel like those are the only 2 teams that could give the 49ers a real fight, because guess what? We just saw the Dolphins basically fall flat on their face against them.
Yeah, and that's why, this week coming up against Tampa Bay, I think is going to go a long way towards figuring out what are the Niners going to be with Brock Purdy, because look, he's put some stuff on film now, so the Buccaneers have a basis for how to try to attack his weaknesses and attack his flaws. But that defense is so strong, so solid. You're playing a weak offense led by Tom Brady, but still an offense that hasn't been able to score 20 points very, very frequently this year. The one thing I would look at in that game right now is the under. I haven't seen what it is yet, and I'll take a look at them shortly. But that's certainly a game that's trending for an under for me. But if they can handle that game, I think that bodes well for them. I do think, though, San Fran, Dallas in the playoffs, if they match up, however that could happen if it's a 4 or 5 seed, I think Dallas can give them a real good test, a real good opportunity for the Cowboys to come out on top in that one. The Eagles, man, when you look at them matching up against anybody, if you're an Eagles fan, there's no one you fear. There should be no one you fear. I think the Cowboys are a team that you'd be a little bit leery of. Let's see how they face how that plays out on Christmas Eve first.
Couple more for Associated Press lead NFL writer Rob Maaddi here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Baker Mayfield gets waived by the Panthers. Now he's going to the Rams. I mean, this just feels like the most strange season ever for a guy who just a couple of years ago beat a division rival Steelers with the Browns in the postseason. A couple of years later, he's landing in Los Angeles because they're running out of quarterbacks.
Isn't it crazy how he goes He loses his job in Cleveland, ends up in Carolina, can't beat out Sam Darnold and PJ Walker and prove himself to be the answer for the Panthers. And obviously we know there's more to Baker Mayfield than talent. Talent levels there, skill levels there. Sometimes all the other intangibles people are not enamored with. And here he is now, middle of the season, loses his job. And the Rams got nothing to lose at this point. They're the worst defending Super Bowl champion probably in the history of the NFL. Matthew Stafford's out for the rest of the season. Matthew Stafford may retire. And if Matthew Stafford retires, they need to figure out who's going to be their quarterback going forward. So they got nothing to lose by giving Baker Mayfield a shot in these final 4 or 5 games, especially when he's only costing them a very small amount of money because of the salary cap and his contract this year. So I think it makes sense for the Rams. It's just a weird journey for a guy who, like you said, beat the Steelers in the playoffs less than 2 years ago, 22 months, 23 months, whatever it was.
It's crazy. Before I let you go, Rob, Trey Turner to the Phillies. You excited?
Ooh, how beautiful was that? Trey Turner to the Phillies, taking less money to go to Philly, to join that team and that offense. And someone tweeted to, I forget who it was, but they posted how, everybody's always saying, oh, nobody wants to come to Philly. When it comes to the Phillies, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Zach Wheeler, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, people want to come and play here. They want to come and, I still say here, I'm down here in Florida. People want to come and play. It's crazy. They want to come and play for the Phillies. And I think the credit goes to, I know Bryce Harper's got a lot to do. John Middleton's an owner you would absolutely love as a player. John Middleton is an owner who's a guy who, like, he can really relate to the players. He wants to win. He's sincere. He's genuine. He wants to do whatever it takes. He's willing to spend. He's willing to do everything in his power. And he's that guy. Like, you gravitate towards him. So if you get him in that room, in that negotiation session, anybody would want to play for him. And I think that's a difference maker as an owner. I don't think Philadelphia has ever had an owner like John Middleton, who it can be the guy to seal any deal, and players will want to play for him.
I mean, remember, he flew out to Vegas with Harper.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people want to say, oh, well, Clintack and McPhail. No. Middleton got Harper. That was not Clintack or McPhail at all.
100%, Josh. Absolutely. I mean, that's all Middleton, just who he is, his personality. He's a guy it's easy for people to get for players to get along with, and you love playing for him. And I think that's such a huge advantage. And then when people want to point out, like I just was telling my wife this about, how could you, people saying, how could you not want to go to San Diego or say somewhere else? Baseball's such a long season. It don't matter where you live for 9 months, because during that part of the season, you're on the road. You're playing your games. That's it. And it's the summer months. It's nice everywhere. And then the 3 months you're off in November, hopefully not all of November, depending on when the playoffs are. Right? If they're December, January, you can be wherever you're in Florida, you're in Arizona, wherever you want to be. So it makes all the sense in the world for guys who want to come to Philly, play for that team, play for that owner, play for those guys. Like, you watch the Phillies in the playoffs, and how could you not want to be part of that clubhouse? So good for Trey Turner, man.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it any better. Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press, at Rob Maaddi on Twitter, the AP Pro Football podcast each and every week. Amazing conversation you had last week with Josh McCown. He brought up so many great points I'm still using to other people when I talk to them about football. And, of course, Faith on the Field, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. and the Encore Sunday morning here on 97.3 ESPN. Rob, appreciate you jumping on the Tuesday. I'm glad that you and your family had an amazing time at the game last night, and hope it won't be the last time you guys get to go to a game together.
Yeah, I don't know how I could swing that. Now they want to go back. I'm like, Tom Brady's not going to do that every week. And y'all, I got to cover these games. I got to work, so I'm not going to be able to pull it off. But, Josh, appreciate you being flexible with the schedule. Thank you for everything, man, and appreciate you always.
Thank you, Rob. Take care of yourself. Rob Maaddi, always great stuff from him. And make sure you give him a follow at Rob Maaddi on Twitter. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Tuesday night on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Dan and EHT, Jeff in Ocean City, your messages and more next.
The Jimmy V Classic. Second-ranked Texas faces number 16 Illinois. Then it's Iowa versus 16th ranked Duke. The college basketball season continues tonight only on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 p.m.
I'm back. This is James, owner of Car Toys. Come celebrate our 29th year here at Car Toys, the only shop offering buy one, get one. Remote car start, heated seat, window tint, detailing. It's all buy one, get one free. 29% off ceramic pro treatment. 29% off labor sale. $288 gift card for $188. $888 for $688. 10 hour of MacGyver value at $1,500 for $888. Install any step bar, folder cover, or radio for $88.88. Free installation on any speaker purchase. Stop the clock at $888 was a hit, so let's ride it to Christmas. All you have to do is press the button, stop the clock at $888. It's Merry Christmas from me to you. Car Toys have something for everyone. We even sell cars and trucks with over 80 unique vehicles and work van in stock. Buy, sell, trade, build, wrap, finance. We do it all. Have Car Toys build you that badass lifted truck, Jeep, custom work van you always wanted. Look for our ad every Sunday in a press of AC. Shop online. Check us out at distinctivecartoys.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Come in and take advantage of me. Stop the clock at 888. It's only at Car Toys, 2800 Fire Road EHT. You can't miss it. It's all lit up. All you have to do is stop the clock at 888. Try not to choke. From our family to yours, we wish everyone a safe and a happy holiday. Car Toys. I'll see you there.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but what about the nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons. Sinusitis, colds, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Over 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying, best product I've ever used, and amazing, I love my Navage. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. Navage is good personal hygiene and can help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Did you know Nissan EVs have traveled 8 billion miles? Just a quick trip to Pluto and back. And what did we learn along the way? Well, that an EV can take on the world, like the Nissan Leaf. It can move racing forward and take your breath away, like the all-new Nissan Ariya. We learned to make EVs that electrify. 8 billion miles driven by Leaf owners globally since 2010. Ariya not yet available for purchase. Expected availability late fall, subject to change.
Some alarms tell us it's time to get up, or when dinner is done. But the most important alarm of all could be a lifesaver. New smartwatches can detect atrial fibrillation, or AFib, which can lead to blood clots, stroke, or even heart failure. Atlanticare's Heart Institute can get your heart back in rhythm. So listen to your heart and your watch. Visit atlanticare.org/AFib or call 1-888-569-1000.
When choosing a wireless provider, you're forced to compromise. But what if you didn't have to? What if you could get reliable service without a contract and save money? Introducing Total by Verizon, a new no-contract, no-credit check carrier for you and your family, with plans starting at just $30 a month on America's most reliable 5G network. Total by Verizon is available at totalbyverizon.com and at retailers nationwide, based on first-place rankings and RootMetrics first half 2022 5G assessments of 125 metros. Experiences may vary, not an endorsement.
If you own a small to medium-sized business that kept employees on payroll through COVID, you may have a big cash refund waiting for you. The Employee Retention Credit is a tax credit of up to $26,000 per employee. And now, more businesses than ever qualify. The experts at RefundsPro.com specialize in cutting through the red tape of qualifying for this government program. Most of their refunds are over $100,000. Even businesses that have received PPP funds may be eligible. And there are absolutely no fees unless you receive a refund. So there's no reason not to apply. If your business experienced shutdowns, limited capacity, supply chain challenges, or reduced revenue due to COVID, you likely qualify. RefundsPro.com has already helped hundreds of businesses. So don't lose the refund you're owed by missing the deadline. Get started today with a free 5-minute questionnaire at RefundsPro.com. That's refunds with an S, pro.com.
GMS Law is proud to celebrate 50 years in business.
Hi, I'm Joel Chipkin, and I'm a certified civil trial attorney at GMS Law. While many significant changes have occurred within the legal system over the years, one thing that remains the same is our belief that the client comes first, all the time, every time.
Make the right call to GMS Law. Call us at 609-344-7131. That's 609-344-7131. Or visit us online at gmslaw.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Coming up on the top of the hour, the Jimmy V Classic College Basketball doubleheader here on 97.3 ESPN FM. And tomorrow, after Mike Gill and the Sport Bash from 2 to 6, at Game Night 6-7 Flyers hockey tomorrow night here on 97.3 ESPN. Sixers back in action on Friday night. Of course, Sixers with that ridiculous double overtime loss. I mean, I have no idea what was going on at that game. I mean, Harden is just did Harden think that like being off all those weeks would equal like, I don't know, a lot of points or something? I felt like he just wanted to like, it's almost like he wanted to be Houston Harden in Houston, even though he's in the Sixers uniform. It was just such a weird thing to watch. And then Embiid with the turnovers and the fouls. Just a bizarre game last night. Over to text board 609-403-0973. Jeff in Ocean City says, Josh, would it be disappointment if the Phillies don't make the playoffs next year? The division is tough, and with Harper out, that'll be a huge loss. It's from Jeff in Ocean City. Jeff, it's a massive disappointment if they'll make the playoffs. If they don't win and get out of the first round of the postseason, that also is a major disappointment because, one, it just went to the World Series. Number two, it doesn't matter that the division is tough. The division was tough this year, and you found a way to get to the World Series. 3 teams from the NL East were in the playoffs this year, and you made it. So the division being tough to me is of no consequence. And Harper being out, that's part of the reason why you give Trey Turner $300 million. You're giving Turner that money because you want him to come in here and pick up the slack with Harper out, because you can't depend on Kyle Schwarber having a monster June. You can't depend on Castellanos getting hot for the month of August, or Bohm hitting over 300 for almost 3 months in the middle of the summer. You need all the firepower you can get. So, yes, Jeff, in Ocean City, disappointment. Dan EHT chimes in over the text board, says, the Eagles need to shut everybody up with the Cowboys debate. Eagles are better across the board. The only debate was Dak and Jalen. Obviously, that has been answered with Hurts getting into the MVP conversation. Dak will not be able to pick up the crucial first downs with his legs, where Jalen will be in a championship game between the Eagles and Cowboys. Book it. Well, as I said, Dan EHT on Twitter, any presumptuous attitude toward who will be facing the Eagles in the championship game, or any team, is a little okay. I feel where you're coming from, but here's the thing. I think that the 49ers, I told Rob Maaddi, the 49ers are a bad matchup for a lot of these teams. Their defense is playing at a level right now that basically would turn the Cowboys game into like a 13-10 game going into the fourth quarter. I think that the Cowboys defense and the 49ers defense neutralize each other. And then it just comes down to who's going to make the play, who's going to make the right call, who's not going to mess up the time management, right? Listen, Kyle Shanahan's been criticized for his own game management as well as a head coach in the postseason and as offense coordinator. He's not that far off from being criticized like Mike McCarthy is. And the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell's his first year. Todd Bowles, he's not had a great year in Tampa. So I think the 49ers are really going to make an interesting conversation. So don't be so presumptuous about who the Eagles play in the championship game. Here's the thing with the Eagles and the Cowboys. The Cowboys have talent. Talent sometimes can win alone in the NFL. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Catch you tomorrow.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, this is for the YouTube crowd only. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. I appreciate everybody jumping on for the post show. Just a quick thought here. I was just saying about being presumptuous. One of the problems we have in the world we live in today is that what people do is they have a predisposed opinion and they project it. Alan Dershowitz wrote in his book, Shouting Fire, about, basically the whole book was about, legal theory. And one of the legal theories he put out there in his books was there are facts and then there are true facts. There are the facts that people find to support their predisposed beliefs and theories. Then there's the true facts that you actually use to determine how you view the world and how you come to your opinion. And I know it's a fictional TV show, but I remember the show Boston Legal, and there was the scene where and I forget the character's name, but she goes in the court and it shows up in the court that they had pictures of her client being in trouble, and then the client brought the wallet in question into the case, and nobody put it into evidence. And I bring that up because sometimes things happen that are unexpected. Injuries happen. Guys, maybe having a bad day. Somebody gets sick. You trip here, something doesn't work out there, a false start here, an offsides. The smallest things can change the outcome of a game. And that's why I don't sit here and say the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, because I remember 2017, despite the fact that the Eagles were the best team in the league for so many weeks, you never thought it was a guarantee they made it. And you could argue the teams this time round are way better than who the Eagles faced back in 2017. That Falcons team was at the end of basically an era for that offense. And the Eagles defense outplayed them to the final buzzer. Nick Foles had almost zero impact on that game. In the NFC Championship game, you played a Vikings team with Case Keenum at quarterback and a team that got woefully exposed and exploited down in Philadelphia. So I could argue that everyone who the Eagles will play this postseason, whether it be the Cowboys, whether it be the 49ers, even the Bucs defense is really good. You could argue that all those teams are better than the teams the Eagles faced in 2017. So there are no guarantees in life. But what I can guarantee is this. The thing that makes you like the Eagles over the other teams is from what you see of them, they look like they got it together. They look like they're having a good time. And I told you guys earlier in the show about the importance of environment and culture. Environment and culture is the foundation of the Eagles' success. It's not a high-powered offense. It's not an elite defensive personnel. It's not a genius at the head coach position. It's culture. It's positive energy. It's right attitude, good work ethic. It's the intangibles that, guess what? It's not a Corvette or a Mustang or a Lamborghini. It's that Honda Civic's going to get you 200 miles, going to get you good gas mileage, and it's going to be reliable. And that's what the Philadelphia Eagles are. That's why they're in the position they're in. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, and live here on my YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, follow me at Twitter at Josh Hennig. Josh Hennig here on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and I'll catch you next time.